AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
The saying was, win on Sunday, sell on Monday, especially in the late 60s when the automakers were selling copies of the NASCAR racers running on the tracks. Actually, they had to sell them to make the special cheater cars legal. And that called for some creative marketing. For Mercury, it was the Dan Gurney signature car, the Spoiler 2. The 1969 NASCAR season marked the beginning of the now infamous Aero Wars as extreme race cars made their debut, like Chrysler's Charger Daytona and the Superbirds.
They were just learning that you didn't have to have horsepower if you had a swoopy nose and a lot of downforce, a lot of wings that will push the car down to the ground.
Ford had an aero battle plan of its own. Their cars would get that long, swoopy nose, but no rear wing. The Torino would become the Talladega, and the Cyclone became the Spoiler 2. But both brands would still have to meet NASCAR's homologation rules for each entry. So 353 Mercury Cyclone Spoiler 2s were prepped for showroom floors as promotional units, wearing the names and paint schemes of NASCAR drivers Cale Yarborough and Dan Gurney. These special street Mercuries came equipped with a wing and could even be purchased with the same nose the race cars had. It was a custom piece Holman and Moody made from sheet metal and a collection of odd parts.
Basically, they started out with a W-nose car, added this front end, which is sloped down, used a Torino Cobra grill. These little lights behind here are 69 Ford van. And they took a rear bumper off of a Torino, shortened it, and put it on the front where it pushes the wind down.
The cars did not come with a massive 429 NASCAR motor. The owners got the new 351 cubic inch Windsor V8. It produced 290 horses and 385 foot-pounds of torque that was delivered to the street through an automatic transmission and was controlled by a sport suspension. Car and Driver editors got their hands on a Cyclone in early '69 and wrote, "Its competition-oriented external appearance is certainly in keeping with its wide-open throttle performance, but the car has been carefully developed for minimum intrusion on the occupant's senses." Minimum indeed. The driver faced a Spartan dash and shared the split front bench seat with his passenger. In back, another bench. But the appeal to race fans was overwhelming. At the NASCAR race in Atlanta that year, 100 Spoiler 2s were paraded around the track before heading off to dealers. And the actual race cars also paraded at the front of the pack, posting 4 wins during the '69 season. All the while, development of a Super Spoiler 2 was underway. Its longer, more rounded nose was slated to make its street and competition debut in 1970, but it was never to be. Speeds on the racetrack were climbing higher than ever, forcing NASCAR to make some major changes.
71, all these cars kind of went away because NASCAR realized that if they let this go unchecked, goodness knows what the cars would look like in 10 years. So they reduced the size of the engine, and they reduced a little bit of the aerodynamic abilities these cars had.
And with that, the Aero Wars came to an end. But there are still legacies of that time, classics still roaming the streets in their race car trim. The Cale Yarborough and Dan Gurney specials of the Mercury Cyclone Spoiler 2.